Let's start with what's happening globally, because it's really all connected to the prices you and I pay at the petrol pump. Even if we do not go and buy fuel, the fact is that fuel hovering around 100 rupees a litre for petrol and diesel is hurting each and every one of us. It all in large part comes from what's happening in a very interesting and important meeting of a group called the OPEC+. These are the oil producers of the world, and they have been deliberating for over 2 days now on whether to extend production cuts or not. So essentially all of these countries started producing less crude at the beginning of COVID-19 because demand had grown less and prices were crashing. So they in turn reduced their output to boost up the prices. Their decision now hinges upon whether they should extend those production cuts, whether they should roll them back, because economies around the globe are now reviving. That's leading to more demand for crude. That's what's led to the bump up in the price of Brent crude to about 47% just this year. So where are we in this stalemate right now? My colleague Mubina has the latest.
Well, it's the UAE this time that's really proving to be the one country and the one member of the OPEC coalition that's not exactly agreeing with the output policy that most of the members seem to have agreed upon. Now, the policy largely that they have come up to a decision to currently is that they're going to increase output by 2 million barrels per day from August to December. But obviously now you're deciding on the output and the production all the way till December 2020. The balance cuts, meantime, they want that to be extended from April 22 till the end of that year. Now, that's exactly the sparring point. The UAE is not okay with the extension of the output cuts. In fact, it's been quite a bitter clash, which has forced the group as well to halt talks twice already, and the next meeting now is scheduled for today evening. It's putting oil markets as well in quite a limbo, continues to be above the $76 per barrel mark. Remember that Saudi insisted on its plan. It's being backed by the OPEC coalition members, including Russia, that the group should not only increase production but also extend its broader agreement until all the way till the end of 2022. But the Emirati counterpart is rejecting the extension of a deal, supporting only a short-term increase and demanding better terms for itself for 2022 as well. Remember, markets are also rife with rumors that the UAE is looking at exiting the alliance and exiting the cartel, but I guess the only time will tell, and we'll wait to see if today the coalition has come to an agreement.
Right, from that global perspective to what is happening on ground here in India. So we told you about all of the numbers, right? 100 rupees per litre and above in 13 states and union territories for the cost of 1 litre of petrol. That's the situation in India right now. 35th time that prices have been hiked in the last 2 months, and by 35 paise. You already know that 60% of what we pay for per litre of petrol is taxes, essentially, between centre and state, and a lion's share of that, nearly 70%, is from the state government. But there's one more number that we should talk about today. 65 out of 75. That's the number of seats that the BJP won in the recently concluded UP Zilla Panchayat elections. Now, why am I talking about this? Because the question today is whether there is any political compulsion really to reduce these prices. A political party starts to feel the heat on high prices if it hurts them electorally. Clearly, that doesn't seem to be happening. Is that the reason why there is a complete cold shoulder to the pain of the common man on these prices? To speak on this, I'm joined today by Narendra Taneja. He's an energy expert and a BJP leader. Madhavan Narayanan, senior journalist, joins us on the show. We're also speaking with Malkit Singh. He's the chairman of the core committee of the AIMTC. That's the All India Motor Transport Congress. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for speaking with us. Madhavan, let me begin by getting your take and this link that we've drawn. There was a time when 100 rupees a litre for petrol was unthinkable. It would be a huge political issue, but it no longer seems to be the case. Do you think that's because somewhere people are being very understanding that during a COVID-19 pandemic, the government needs that kind of money, or it's just slipped from the radar as a political issue?
It's a very good question, Tamanna, because it involves answers, I'm afraid, not from economics, but from social psychology. I think petrol is essentially a middle-class urban issue as a talking point. But when it comes to a large mass of people, they feel the pinch, but they do not even know how it pinches them because it comes through essentially through a diesel price hike that cuts across the board through input prices across the board. So many people don't know what hit them, but this is where Reserve Bank and others have to watch the data from a different point of view. Politically, it will bite them like it has in the case of pulses right now. For instance, today the pulse prices are over 100 rupees a kilo, many of them, well over 100 rupees. And that's certainly biting the ordinary people. What they may not know, but will feel in some way, is that the diesel price hike also ends up hurting them by increasing the prices of food grains or essential staples, including vegetables. And therefore, to that extent, I would not say it's not political, but it's not in your face, except in urban areas. But it will certainly rub off in political discourse if there is an overall atmosphere where people are below what I call the vulnerability line. I've coined the term today to understand the petrol of politics. Poverty line is, let's say, about 300 to 400 million Indians. But about 500 million of Indians are below what I call the vulnerability line, where if petrol prices or crude prices go up, they feel the pinch indirectly in a way that it affects their lifestyle and pushes back their commodity of utilities. So to that extent, it is certainly a political issue, but not in your face. So let's not be smug about the fact that it's not political. It is political. But how it plays out is something we'll watch out, particularly because UP elections are still
No, but not political enough, because, okay, let me get Mr. Taneja in this. Let me get Mr. Taneja's view in this. So there was no hike for 65 days when there were elections going on in 4 states and a union territory, including West Bengal. And then for the last couple of months, there have been consistent hikes. So let's just, not even try and say that these decisions are not related to political compulsions. I'm sure you won't do that. Then let me come to you that does the BJP now feel that it doesn't really matter, that we can continue to hike prices and people will swallow it?
Well, first of all, Tamanna, there is no denying petrol prices, diesel in particular, a bit on the higher side. And does it really matter to BJP or not? It does, of course. When the common man, one way or another, is adversely, impacted economically and socially, it matters to the party. We are a ruling party, extremely sensitive to, what happens to the people at the end of the day when we are in a kind of situation that we are into today. But at the same time, let's not forget one thing, that we are in a war-like situation with coronavirus. It's a war economy. It's not this is not ordinary time. And we are fighting this huge, India never since independence fought a war like this, which is just going on and on and on. And the good thing is that, politically mature, people are very politically mature in our country, and they understand it. The country and the government is fighting this war. And so therefore, the circumstances are quite different. So many of them actually show tremendous understanding. And at the same time, know that, it may look like that, the government, by increasing excise, let's say, making a lot of money, but the petrol, diesel consumption, last 4 months has gone down. So overall return to the government in terms of central government, in terms of excise, for that matter, state government, irrespective of which political parties in power, their revenues have also come down. I'm talking volumes. Now, this is the kind of situation. At the same time, government expenses overall, whether you're a state government or the federal government, have gone up. You have new challenges, including central government, for instance, footing the bill for the vaccination campaign and so on and so forth. So good thing is that, yes, the party and the government extremely sensitive. When people suffer, we cry. And when and people know that very well. We are communicating with them. But at the same time, the situation is that we import roughly 86% of our total requirement.
Crying going to help, Mr. Taneja? But how is crying going to help, sir? How is crying going to help beyond the point? My question is, and you said correctly, we are in a warlike economy. Let me just ask you a specific pointer on that one. You said we're in a warlike economy. Now, in any war, when a government wants to create more funds, it doesn't equally tax even the most vulnerable and weak. it looks to other methods. The problem with petrol and diesel, as you well know, with these set of taxes is that they have a cascading effect on everything. So even the poorest person pays for it. That's not how a warlike economy is funded, sir.
You see, the diesel in particular, Tamanna, when diesel prices go up, of course, it has its own effect, cascading effect. Absolutely no denying on that. But at the same time, you see, with the limited revenues and limited kind of, sources for revenue, whether you're central or the state government, I'm speaking on behalf of the state government as well, not necessarily all ruled by us, but we understand their economics. Now, the thing is that at the same time, 80% of the people across the country, we are taking care of them in terms of their basic requirement of food. They're getting for almost free. And we are taking care of the vaccination campaign. We are taking care of the hospital. Where the money is going to come from in a situation like this? And the good thing is that ordinary people out there, they understand it. When they get their daily quota of food, they understand that 80% of the people, they appreciate it. Now, yes, at the same time, as I said, when you are in this kind of situation, you have to look for kind of solution. Ideally, we would like to actually, cut excise. And maybe by 3 rupees and 4 rupees. People like me within the party, we argue for that. But at the same time, when we look at the overall numbers, we understand that we can't. Or for that matter, the state government, we may argue with them because you're a Congress rule or you're TMC rule. But when we look at the balance sheet, look at the liabilities and assets and everything, and overall, we understand that they can't. So that's the kind of unfortunate. My own this thing is hopefully within the next 3 months, we'll be in a better position. And the overall economics of the country would be in a better position, and probably both the center and the states would be in a position to do something more about on this issue.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that window will be there because globally crude prices look like they're going to go upwards. But let me go to Malkit Singh. Mr. Singh, are you being understanding? As Mr. Taneja is saying, most people are, after all, where will they get the money to spend for all of the expenses related to COVID-19? So as someone in the transport industry who gets hit directly, are you being understanding?
Amana, first of all, thank you very much. And the barometer of the economy can be caused by the movement of the wheels. चक्का चलता है तो देश की अर्थव्यवस्था चलती है. आज the 20 crore people are associated with this trade, which is the most important sector, and diesel is our 65% in our operational cost. It has a cascading effect right from top to the bottom. It is not the diesel due to the fuel prices hike in the diesel. Our other component like oil, lubes, tires, spare parts are also gone up. So now this sector is totally bleeding. In this 20 crore people which are associated with this sector, 85% are the small road transport operator. They are self-employed, chalak or malak. Today, due to the second wave, this sector has been badly affected. And on the other side, where there is low demand, idling time has been increased. There is no business in the market. Our operating cost has skyrocketed. And as you will be having the data, there are the major default in the repayment, which will result in repossessing of the vehicle. CIBIL rating of our operator will be badly affected. This will be leading to a more employment. We have been appealing to the government that immediately you should hold our hand, you should put us on our feet by reducing the excise duty, and states should cut down their VAT taxes. Even RBI, even oil companies, even FICCI, CCI, leading economist, ICRA had suggested that immediately 4.5 per litre excise duties is cut. There will be no financial losses to the government. What I can say, it is
there is an assessment
totally
they can cut up to 8 rupees per litre. But my question to you, Mr. Singh, No. My question to you, Mr. Singh, is because we've had this conversation before, and you naturally feel it's unjustified. There have been, strikes which have been called for various transport associations, but you haven't been able to prevail yet. Let me come to the main question that I'm asking this evening. Why is this high tolerance there? Is there an understanding that, there is no other way? Is there not enough political push or widespread support to really, question this? And do you have no way to prevail upon the powers that be to cut the excise duties? What is the issue?
The issue totally lies with the government, because I will give you the data. In the May 2014, the crude prices was 105 per barrel. At that time, petrol was 71 rupees, diesel was 56 rupees. Similarly, in December 2020, when the crude prices was 47 rupees per barrel, no benefit were passed to us. We were getting the petrol at 90 rupees and diesel at 80 rupees. In the August 2007, the crude prices is 70 rupees, and that time the petrol was 43 rupees and diesel was 30 rupees. So there is still room for drastic reduction in the fuel prices. And we have been protesting. We have observed a black day on 28th of June, and we are waiting. And if there is no corrective measures are taken by the government, we will be compelled to stop our operation from the month of August.
Madhavan, let me come back to the point of where do you think the push will come from? Now, when you hear from what central government is saying, they say that we want state governments to also reduce their taxes. We should do this in a 50-50 way. Or there are other suggestions which come in that bring it into GST, and then we'll see. But in the interim, prices at the pump are going on increasing and may continue to do so. So where do you think that threshold now lies? If it's not at 105 rupees a litre, where is it?
It's very simple, Tamanna. Let's discuss the policy framework, because numbers come later. You see, the point is that crude has been treated as a holy cow because this government wanted to ensure a smooth transition to GST in a way that states' revenues will not be affected. So that part of it has been achieved. But as Narendra Taneja rightly says, there's a pandemic war-like situation. And therefore, the only answer lies, especially since inflation is a political as well as an economic issue, for the government to somehow absorb it through a fiscal deficit that is prudent, maybe through long-term bonds or something, treasury bonds or something. Once that is done, then we could stagger this whole thing so that some of the shocks of the hike will be absorbed by the government, and even if it doesn't go down, it doesn't go up further in case world oil prices go up. This requires prudent management of a combination of the forex policy, the fuel policy, and the fiscal deficit. This is an act of juggling that Nirmala Sitharaman has to do, whether she likes it or not. And there are some tricks of the trade which anybody who's covered the finance ministry will be able to tell you. There are some ways you can juggle your books. It has been done before. But there is no excuse for the fact that when crude was around $100 a barrel, we had better petrol prices. So in any which way you see, there is a case for implementing an enlightened policy. Having said that, let me say both UPA and NDA have been very naive. I blame the Congress and BJP equally in this. This simply buying this whole liberalization logic of linking petrol prices locally to global prices is naive, politically naive. You need a transition management regime like we used to manage foreign exchange before liberalization that way. It was not the perfect way, but it was a socially stable way. So we need to find out socially stable methods with a stabilization fund or a staggering. And now the fiscal deficit, honestly speaking, unless it is really bad and drives up bond yields or interest rates, is actually a cushion. But the government should know how to balance it within a range, just as we have an inflation band of 4 to 6%. We need to have a fiscal management situation. Otherwise, as Kaushik Basu, who's been chief economic advisor to this government and a highly respected figure, says, we are staring at a stagflation situation in the middle of a pandemic. So the state has to take a knock on its chin, whether it likes it or not. And the only way to do it is to do it through some prudent juggling of the books. I don't see any other way. There is no silver bullet. There is no magic wand here. Not that I see it.
Those options are there. No, there are all the options are obviously available to the state machinery, and I'm sure they have the best experts to tell them what to do. The question is, why don't they feel the need to do it so far? Why is that political compulsion not there? You know, Mr. Taneja, in your earlier response,
let me respond to that, Tamanna. I do believe that this government has two interesting principles. One, it believes that good economics is good politics. And the fact is that, unlike Congress may disagree as a party, but the fact is that the people of India are more understanding than they used to be. Let's give the BJP some credit for that. But having said that, it's equally true that, they are just saying it for effect. The truth is that in backroom discussions, as they may say in Hindi, अगर डीजल के प्राइस से कुछ चुभेगा नहीं तो दाल के प्राइस से तो चुभेगा ही चुभेगा. So there is going to be an effect, and I think just like the second wave of corona hit us, there might be a second wave of inflation hitting us very soon if we don't watch out.
Oh, I think we're looking at it and the beginnings of it, but you talked about good economics being good politics. Mr. Taneja, my point is this, still good economics? You mentioned earlier in your response that the consumption of fuel has gone down. A part of that reason, apart from the restrictions because of second wave, is also the high prices. It's it dissuades from people from consuming more petrol and diesel. It leaves less room for any kind of discretionary consumption. It will impede eventually the recovery of the economy. So it's actually no longer good economics.
Well, we do our own research, and it's not the price. It's actually the pandemic, because there are still restrictions, severe restriction in many parts of the country. And that's the main reason. And as far as good economics, good politics, whether it's, that's not how the government or we as a governing party look at these things. You see, if people feel the pinch, people feels, their pockets feel hurt, it hurts us too. We are a political party. We have to be extremely sensitive to what people think about it. If they are suffering, then we are also suffering. Like, I'm not going to contest on any point with Mr. Singh. I understand they're suffering. So my sympathies are with them, and we are trying to find the best possible solution, and as soon as possible. But at the same time, we are talking of here of a commodity, 86% of which is imported, and that's not in our hand. And we don't really know when we look at the horizon, and that's part of my work I do on daily basis. We don't know where the prices are going to stop, or if they're going to stop at all. And nobody knows about the future. There are people saying the prices may touch $100. There are people saying, giving the range like $30 to $130 per barrel. So really nobody knows, because it's an extremely complex industry. And so therefore we have to be prepared. Right now our focus is that make sure that oil and diesel, these commodities are available across the country. And at the same time to try to see that we manage overall economics of the country in such a way that we continue to progress, and ordinary people in particular, they don't suffer. Our concern is a lot more for these people. And at the same time, economy continue to do well. And we are hoping that by Dashara and Diwali time, we will be in a much better position. But just last point, Tamanna, just bear with me. You see, the point is that, to create a stability fund and all that, petrol and diesel, these are decontrolled commodities. The one best decision Dr. Manmohan Singh government took was in July 2010 was to decontrol both petrol and diesel. And that was a very good decision. There's absolutely no case actually to go back to the controlled regime when the crude oil price was $100, but the diesel was still available at cheap prices because it was subsidized. And we are still paying for it. The bonds are still there, oil bonds. So the country is going to continue to pay for the next 5 years for those bonds. So what kind of economics is that? We are not a People's Republic of Korea or whatever. Now we liberalize the economy. We decontrolled it. We have to push ahead with it. But at the same time, make sure the taxes are such that people can bear the tax. So right now, I agree the taxes are slightly on the higher side, both the central government and the state government. We've got to work together. That's
the problem. It's the sleight of hand. Yeah. it's the sleight of hand where those taxes pad up and really, really hurt eventually. Mr. Singh, last word to you. Tell me how this can continue. Do you think that it is sustainable for you at this price? Are you simply passing this on to your customers, or how are you managing through this?
In this present scenario, it is very difficult to manage the show. As I already stated that the industry is bleeding and is on the verge of the collapse. Because due to the low demand, right now we are not able to pass on our operating cost. But as the economy will open up in the longer run, we will be passing on our operating cost to the customer for whom we are doing the transportation. And as rightly stated by one of the panelists, that we have been hit by the second wave of corona, and the inflation will hit us very soon, because diesel has a cascading effect from top to the bottom. And you will see when there is a total demand in the market, the freight rate will shoot up, and all the products like essential commodities and other products the prices will go up. We have been appealing to the government in this difficult time. The industry should be given a 6-month moratorium. The government should reduce the excise and the VAT taxes. There should be a quarterly revision in the fuel prices. There should be a uniformity of the fuel prices all across the country, and petroleum products should be brought under the purview of the GST. And at present, it is very difficult, and there will be a lot of default, which has been already started.
Yeah.
Repossession of the vehicles, and more employment will be there in our sector.
All right, we have to find a solution fast. We cannot just grow a thick skin and say that, people are tolerating it, so let us just continue with this. It is going to impact recovery in the economy in a big way. It's something the Reserve Bank of India has also pointed out. Let's not just turn the other way, because petrol prices are climbing northwards of 100 rupees a litre every day in so many parts of the country. Thank you to all of you for joining us on the first discussion this evening.